All right, now let's take a look at some of the data we can collect in the classroom using the LMS and the UCertify application. So as a teacher, once you navigate to your course room, you're going to be able to see anything that has been completed by your students. In the stream on the very assignment that you created, you'll see that we have one done. Well, we only assigned it to one, so we'll have one done. So we're just going to go ahead and select that and see who turned it in. And look, it was the quiz that we had done, and it was done late. And there's our message. I had some troubles. So we go ahead and click on that. I had some troubles understanding. Could you explain more? And we could just respond. Also, we had one complete the IT quizzes game. So we can go ahead and click on that one to see what we have here. And we have one done. Clifton Baker finished the quizzes. Let's see how he did. Go ahead and click on the icon and it's going to bring up his score sheet. Well, Clifton did awesome. He got 100%. I mean, after all, he is my son. After viewing the quiz report, you can just go back to the game. But as you can see, it keeps a running tally of the questions and how the student did. The amount of questions, how many correct and incorrect, and which ones might have been skipped or unattempted. You can also look at the time it took for the student to answer the question. These are relatively quick, but maybe if you saw that a student took a little extra time answering the question, maybe they struggled. Maybe they got it right, but maybe they still struggled. To navigate back to the classroom, all you have to simply do is close that window and you'll go right back to the classroom, and then you can add the manual grade 100. All right, to navigate back to the dashboard, you just click these back arrows until you get to the stream that you were looking for. As we discussed before, it's important to add categories to your Google Classroom. As you can see here, we have the topics of HTLM, school news, the Odin project, which is an online web tutorial, UCertify, and WTGV, which is the way we deliver our news at our school. And we can add any topic underneath those things, but to navigate to them quickly, if you just click on the HTML topic, it'll take you to any assignments that have dealt with HTML. So it's very easy for the teacher and the student to find the subject that they're looking for. All right. Right now, we're going to go ahead and navigate over to UCertify and take a look at some of the data that UCertify offers. To navigate to UCertify, we could click on the About button and use the link to take us right to UCertify. Once at UCertify, you'll want to go ahead and log in. But if this has been on a computer that you've been on before and you've asked Google Classroom to save your password information, it'll log you right away. But we're going to go ahead and type in my information so I can show you the full reporting menu. When the teacher navigates to their course room, they're going to go to My Library. And they're going to select the course that they're using. UCertify was kind enough to let me use a test course to be able to highlight these to you without giving away any of the students' personal performance information. But we're going to go ahead and click on Instructor Tools. And this is going to bring up the Instructor menu. As you can see across the top, this is where we can set up, and it's already defaulted to that. And that's just simply naming the day it starts and ends of the basic information about your course. You have another tab to invite students by email. And for the data, this is what we're going to show you right here is the tracking. Once we click on track, it's going to bring us to this page. Now we're under the track tab. We can use our search here to get straight to the data that we want. We can export our data to any kind of spreadsheets. And that way, if our boss would like us to print something out, we can easily print it for them if they're not used to using, heavy technology. Now, this is sample data. But let's go ahead and show you what the sample data looks like. This is just the roster, and the roster is going to give you the name of all the students that are enrolled into that class. In here, they're going to show us the readiness, the varied readiness, and this is based on the progress that the student's making. Now this here would probably be in an asynchronous, possibly student-led course if you had such a big gap between the different readiness levels. But if you were doing instructor-led and you were on a timeline based on the district, you'd want them to be pretty close as far as readiness goes. Alright, and this will show you their last login. And that way you know if the student's engaging with the software. So if there isn't, you can intervene if there might be any problems. And that's just the information contained in the roster. Let's go ahead and look at the lessons. Again, this is just sample data. In the lessons, we're going to see a variety of different things. And this is just an overview of the student's performance in the lessons. Now this is very sporadic as far as data. My actual data in my classroom, you would see a lot more being consistent with one another, with a few differences between the performances of the students, but nothing like what you see here. But this is just to give you an idea. For example, under lesson 1, the reading, this student didn't do any reading and neither did this one. But this one here has done a certain amount of reading. To see how much reading the student actually completed, you can click on it and it will show you the lessons and how much reading was actually done. And as you can see, not very much. If these were actually read, you would see green or yellow for halfway read down the side. The C stands for flashcards. The flashcards means how much the student has mastered in the flashcards. And remember when I showed you, that is self-graded. So this will give you an idea if the students are participating in the flashcards or not. I recommend in the courses that you assign an acceptable percentage of flashcard completion. In my class, it's 100%. And then here's the quizzes scores. And these are the quizzes the students can take after each lesson to measure their mastery. Remember what I said? Teachers can assign a minimum passing score enable for the student to unlock the next lesson. This is important if using instructor-led and you want the students to maintain a pace with one another. The practice tab is for the practice exams that the students will take in preparation for their certification. And it will show a level of mastery all the way from the pre-test that they take at the beginning of the course to the post-assessment and then each of the practice tests thereafter. Again, you can set the goals for the students, and also the students can set goals within your goals for themselves. This is data specifically for the Prep Engine for certification. This is what I was talking about when I said that the students would be able to master certain items if they answered similar standard questions correctly. If they answered all of them correctly consistently, it would show that they mastered those many items. This section here shows you how many standards are still in play for the student to master that they've been working on. And over here in gray are the questions that the students haven't gotten to yet, meaning they have not been approached by these questions in the test. And this shows you how much time they spent practicing. So actually to master 3 items in 2 minutes, that's pretty darn good. And then finally here we have the gradebook. The gradebook, as you can see, is not defined yet because we didn't set up this class. This was a demo class. If we set up, we can select which elements we want graded, and we can actually assign the values of the gradebook and the acceptable passing scores and the non-passing scores. And we can do all that in our own gradebook, and then the gradebook would populate here. Now, remembering back to when we were talking about this being personalized, based on this here is a study plan that the student will see when they look at their study plan on their desktop. This is the same one. So if we were having a student that was falling behind and they weren't caught up and we looked at the studying plan, we can look at what was suggested to them and then go follow up the student to see how they were doing progressing through that, to see if there's any problems and see what we need to do to help them, catch up or move along. And this is part of the student-centered personalized curriculum that UCertify delivers.